Howdy, everybody. This is Mac right here, and this is going to be graphing system of inequalities. This is C. This is the third one that we've done, okay? And we're going to have fun with pretty colors. And so on this one, the maps, the graphs look really messy, but they're kind of fun to do. I recommend you use colored pencils. It's going to help. If you do it with just a pencil, that's fine, but just make sure you shade perpendicular to the lines, and I'll show you what I mean by then. If you haven't yet, look at version A and B, and I think C will be really easy if you've done that. And watch the video that I did making that. And all those videos can be found at Max Tutorials, MACS tutorials.com. And if you go there, you can see lots and lots of algebra, not just this, but I have many, many things for you to look at to help you feel more confident in math and get that A you want in algebra. If you can like and subscribe this video, that would really, really help me out. All right, let's get going. So boom, right here. I can't do anything with that. That's actually in what we call standard form, but we like the y equals mx plus b. We're used to that. So if you don't mind, I'm going to do a little bit of math right here. So I'm going to do a little bit of rearranging, and we did this in chapter 5. So I'm going to go a little bit quick and assume you've seen that. If you haven't, go watch it. All I did was rearrange the furniture a little bit, okay? And by doing that, now I have my y equals mx plus b. Now I can graph that. So I'm going to go up 4, and I'm going to do my slope of negative 2 over 1, down 2 over 1, down 2, boop, boop, down 2 over 1. And I notice that this right here is going to be, has no equal sign, okay? All it is just one big greater than. So I want to do a dashed line. I can't do a solid line unless there was an equal sign. Now I'm going to go ahead and shade, and I want to shade where the y's get greater. The y's get greater where that up arrow is, so this is going to be the way I shade. All right, cool. Let's do the blue one. Now the blue one I don't need to move at all, so I love that. That's going to be the bottom one. So I'm going to start at 7, because that's my b, that's my y-intercept, and that's a negative 1 over 1. Down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1. And these are going to be, this is also going to be a dotted line. And so this is going to be, oh dear. So boom, 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 boom. These are going to connect, but they're not going to connect for a while, right? So that's where this gets a little bit tricky. This is sort of where they cross kind of above the map, and you can see they would cross right there if it kept going, okay? And so I should probably keep this going because, you know, they're, oh, sorry, because my shading could keep going. Well, I'm very curious to see what this answer is. This may get me in trouble. All right, so let's do the next one. All right, so, oh, sorry, I got to shade that one, right? So now, by shading this one, I want to shade where the y's get smaller. Well, the y's get smaller down here, so I want to shade this portion of the map. Now, can you see where they connect? Okay, the answer is to connect right in here, right in this little triangle. Boom. And boom. Right in there would be the point of connection of these lines, okay? So that right there would be the answer. And make sure that both of them are dashed. All right, let's go on to this next one. Now, I've explained before, whenever we have an x equals or a y equals, and I'll do this once, I won't do this for all of them, okay? But sometimes if you do an xy chart, you just put the negative 2 for all your x's, and just make up numbers. Just totally make them up. Now let's graph them. Let's go negative 2, 0, negative 2, 2, negative 2, negative 1. If you do that, you can see that it's going to be a horizontal line, and it will be a line, not a dash, because of the equal sign. You also know that your x is always going to be a negative 2. So every answer, your x has to be negative 2. So it's got to be a vertical line, okay? Now, if I take a look at the one right here, it is in standard form, but I want to move it around. When I do that, I'm going to get y is less than negative 2x plus 5. So I'm going to start at 5, and I'm going to go down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1, and it will be a dashed line. Boom, 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 and it will cross right about there. And I'm sorry, I forgot to shade the red. So let's go back to the red right here. The x's are greater than negative 2. Well, x's are greater on this side, so I want to shade this side of the line, okay? So that's my shading. So now I've got to shade the blue, and I want to shade where the y's are smaller. Well, y's are smaller down here, so I want to shade this side of it And if you notice, I'll shade this right here too. Where do they intersect? They intersect right in this triangle, right in there. Let me go and shade all this. Not quite as clean as I would like it to be, but oh, there we go. Boom, boom. Yay, look at that. And so that right there would be the answer to your question, is where they intersect together. All right, let's go on to the third one, 3 out of 8. Okay, so again, the only difference between this and A and B is that we have to do a little bit of math first. I'm going to subtract that 3x from both sides. They die, and I'm left with a negative y is less than or equal to negative 3x plus 6. But I don't want negative y, I want positive y. Now, if you remember, and we did this a lot in chapter 5, this is like dividing by negative 1. You can change all the signs, but if you divide by a negative, you have to flip the sign. So that is the big trick on this one that I don't want you to forget. Okay, so y, we're going to start at negative 6. And I'm going to go up 3 over 1, up 3 over 1, up 3 over 1. And it does have an equal sign, so he gets a straight line. And now I have to decide where I'm going to shade him. Okay, I'm going to shade where the y is greater. Well, the y's are greater up here. So I'm going to shade this side. Okay, so now let's go ahead and go to my blues. So on this one, I am going to go negative 2, and I'm going to go up 1 over 1, 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 up 1 over 1. Okay, and this one is going to be a dashed line. It's going to look like that. Now, where do I shade this one? This one gets shaded where the y's get bigger. Y's get bigger up here, so I'm going to shade above. Try to ignore looking at that red the best you can. Okay, so the question is, where do they intersect? And you can see that they intersect starting right here. Then right here, it kind of goes up like that. So that's my boundary. And I'm just going to shade in everything else. Okay? And you should get an answer that looks something like that. Make sure when you look at it that the red is solid and the blue part would be dashed. All right, let's go on to the fourth one. And let me make this red. Come on, help me out. Old guy with technology. There we go. I'm going to do the top one right here. That's going to be like a 1 over 2. Rise 1, run 2. I'm going to start at negative 1, which is right here. I'm going to go up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2. And it's going to be a dashed line because there is no equal sign. It's just a greater than. So now I have to shade this, and I'm going to shade this where the y's get bigger. The y's get bigger on this side. And there you go. Now, my blues. Y's are less than 4, or x's are less than 4, sorry. Well, my x always has to say 4. So my x is going to say 4 here, it's going to say 4 here, it's going to say 4 there. No matter any of these things on this line, my x is going to say 4. And it's going to be a dashed line because there is no equal sign. And now I need to shade it in, and I need to shade it where my x's get smaller. Well, my x's get smaller over here, so I want to shade this side. Do you see where they connect? It's a little bit off, but it's kind of here and up here is where it shades. So those are my boundaries. I'm going to shade everything in between. And boom, 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 right up to there, right up to that blue dash. So they're all dashed. There's my answer. All right, halfway through. Good job, everybody, for hanging in on there. Okay, so now this one is not in y-intercept form, so we want to change it. And so I'm going to subtract the 2x because we want our x over on the right. I do a lot of these, again, in Chapter 5 on maxtutorials.com. I get a negative 2x greater than, oh, sorry, I already wrote the greater than equal, plus 6. Now I'm going to divide all 3 of them by 3 to give me y is greater than or equal to negative 2/3 x plus 2. Okay, that's supposed to be a 3. It looks like a B. There we go. How about that? So now for my red one, I'm going to start at 2. And I'm going to go down 2, boom, boom, over 3, boom, boom, boom. That's all I need. I really don't need to do any more of these. But old guy writing on screens is kind of hard. So the more dots I get, the better. This needs to be a solid line, and not terrible. Not great either, but not terrible. Whoops, that was an accident. How do I erase that? There we go. Okay, let me get back. And I am going to shade where my y's get greater. My y's get greater at the top. So I want to shade that. Okay, so now I'm going to do my blue. And on this one, I want to just do the equation. So I'm at plus 1 to start. There's my b. Up 3, 1, 2, 3 over 1. Up 3, 1, 2, 3 over 1. Down 3 over 1. And this is going to be a dashed line because there's no equal sign. Up, 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 up. And if you notice, I have 4 quadrants. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Which one's it going to be? Let's see. Let's shade. And I'm going to shade where the y's get smaller. Y's get smaller down here. So I'm going to shade and think of the blue line. Try to look at no red right now. Just look at blue. And right here is where that is. So that's where I'm going to shade. So that quadrant that I marked as 1, that's going to be where it all comes together. Okay. Let me keep going. There we go. And so make sure that the blue line is going to be dashed and the red line is going to be solid. All right, 3 more. Let's keep going on here. So this one right here shows me x is greater than 5. So I'm going to show where x is 5. Sorry, negative 5. And it's just going to be a vertical line because I want things where x's are always going to be negative 5. And it's going to be a dashed line because there is no equal. So there's my dashed line. So looking at it, boom, 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 boom. Where is my x greater than 5? Well, x is greater than 5 over here. So I'm just going to shade this side. All right, now I got to try to ignore the red as best as I can. I know it's a little bit hard. I'm going to start this at negative 2, and I'm going to go down 1 over 2 because that's what my m says. Boom, boom, boom. And I can also go up and left too. Now this has an equal sign, so I'm going to do a straight line all the way across. And now all I have to do is decide where to shade. Y's are smaller. Y's are smaller down here, right? And so I want to shade underneath the line. Now, where do these two cross? These two cross right in here. There we go. That's not too bad. Okay, and then make sure that the line slanting, the blue line is going to be solid and the red line is going to be dashed. Good job, everybody. Way to hang in. I got 2 more here for you. So let's go ahead and start right here on this top. Oh, I got to move that one around. I'm going to go minus 4x minus 4x. I'm going to write negative 2y is greater than negative 4x greater than, plus 8. Okay? Now I have to divide everybody by negative 2. Remember, I did a lot of this in Chapter 5 on maxtutorials.com. But once you divide by a negative, what does that mean? It means I have to flip the sign. Don't forget that. This is going to become a positive 2x, and this is going to become a minus 4. So I'm going to start at minus 4, and I'm going to go up 2 over 1. Because look, boom, boom. See that? Up 2 over 1. And I know that it's going to be less than, but not equal. So I want a dashed line. Dash, 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 dash. Okay? Now, I want my y's to be smaller. My y's get smaller down here on this side of the y. So I'm going to shade this way. Notice how I'm shading perpendicular to the line. If you do that with a pencil, you'll see where they crisscross a lot easier than if you shade with the line. Okay, so that's a nice little helpful tip for you. Okay, where's my y is going to be negative 3? Well, y is going to be negative 3 there. It's going to be negative 3 there. My y is going to be negative 3 on all of these dots. So I know it's going to be a horizontal line. And it will be a line because it does say equal. Okay, y's are greater than or equal to 3. So now I need to shade this one. I want to shade it above that negative 3 because the y's get bigger this way. So I want to shade up here. Okay, now I want to know where did they cross. And they cross, if you notice, right in here, right in this area. And there it pops up, okay? And so, hard for me to do that line right there. But right there, it's going to be the slanted line is going to be dashed, whoops, and the horizontal line is going to be solid. Last one. All right. X is less than or equal to 2. All right. Well, I want my X to always be a 2. So my X is 2 there. My X is 2 here. My X is 2 there. My X is always going to be 2. And it does have the equal sign on it. So I do want to do a line. Okay. Maybe I should make sure we see the whole line. I'll shrink it just a little bit. Okay. There we go. So now my X is less than or equal to 2. So I want to go where the X's are less than. My X's are less than over here. So I'm going to shade this side of the line. All right, and then the last one I'm going to do is the bottom one. And I do have to transform this one. So I'm going to subtract x from both sides. And that's going to give me y is less than negative x plus 8. So I'm going to start at 8, which is up here. And I'm going to go down 1 over 1. Down 1 over, down 1 over, down 1 over, down 1 over. And this one is going to be a dashed line because it's not equal. Now I just have to decide which side to shade, and I'm going to shade where the y's get smaller. Y's get smaller down here, so this is the correct side to shade. Now I need to look at where they cross. Do you see where they cross? I do. They're going to cross right here, and then it kind of tilts just a little bit right there at the top. And I used the wrong color. So let me do this again right there. And then it's going to go right up to the vertical line from there. All right, so that's going to be your answer all the way to the red line. All right, my friends. Oh, and make sure that they're both, it's a dash line on this little corner here, and that it's a solid line going up and down. That's it, my friends. If you can do A, B, and C, you are a pro. You are going to get an A on your test. You are fabulous. You're getting math. That's awesome. Thanks for spending the time. I hope I helped you. Comment. Let me know if I did help you. Ask any questions. And again, like and subscribe. Appreciate it, guys. See you on the next one.